the game that we've just witnessed at the Etihad, or the Emirates, excuse me. Arsenal 3, Man United 1. I mean, just to continue your point about this league, and maybe this fixture is a special fixture anyway, with the history that goes with it. But I mean, what a game! What an atmosphere! What scenes at the end where Declan Rice scores and slides into the corner, and the atmosphere at that stadium was incredible, and the stories there. You know, whether it's defenders that are injured or, you know, new strikers making their debuts. It was just a amazing spectacle, Rob, and that has to be where we start our little roundup on our podcast today. And it's a good shout, you know, just sort of reminding us how much this league gives us and how lucky we are really to watch it and to report on it. Let's go. There's so much to get into, Rob. But why don't I think it's a good idea to start with a bigger picture thought. A bigger picture thought, Rob, at the end of that game. And we'll get into the details and some of the decisions and stuff like that. But give me a kind of summary of that game as a contest between Arsenal and Manchester United.
It's a good question, because I think Rebecca was going somewhere similar at half time. In terms of the two teams, Rob, they were drawing at half time. So they're in the same place in some respects in terms of scoreline, but in terms of pure football, in terms of grooved, rehearsed, coordinated play and build-up play and intensity, Arsenal were head and shoulders above Manchester United. Well, Manchester United's structure at time was reasonably good. They were a bit mechanical and clunky as they played forward, but it was a bit more of a counter-attack type thing that we saw West Ham do last week against Brighton, and that's okay. If you're controlling enough possession, if you're controlling enough of the opposition, so they're not scoring goals. So I don't mean over-critical of United, but it's just that Arsenal's is much more pleasing on the eye. You kind of can see what they're trying to do. They needed big moments in the end, Robert, and just towards the end of the game, before the real drama kicked in, I said to Bex, it was 1-1, we were getting towards the end of normal time. I said, this time last year, Arsenal won this game, Bex. I said, that's where they've got to get to again. And Declan Rice is going to be a huge player for them, Rob. It's almost like he's made for these moments. It's what he's moved to this football club for. Yes, the Jesus one puts the icing on the cake, but that Declan Rice moment for him and his football club, I think, was hugely important going into an international break.
You know what's funny, Rob? Back on the rhythm, the flow of the game and stuff, and I agree. I mean, Arsenal, by the way, going back to the back four, the foundation of last season is night and day different. I mean, it just looks better, felt better. Ben White going up the wing, some overlapping, supporting Bukayo Saka on that side. Zinchenko, I think, is a really brilliant footballer. Really comes into midfield as the extra man many times. I think you might have said that at half time, Rob. He's the extra man. He knits everything together. So that looked immediately better. And to continue your point. Yeah, Arsenal, in what they do, they are pretty grooved, particularly with that back four back in place. That being said, now, with Man United and Erik ten Hag, our understanding is that he wants to get to that type of level, right, and style and dominance. And at the moment, for various reasons, they're not. I thought, Rob, that they actually were pretty solid defensively, for the most part. It went a bit crazy later when they had to make substitutions, and that's another thing with Manchester United right now. The injuries to defending players is pretty crazy, and you bringing in Johnny Evans and
Harry Maguire
had to come into the game. I mean it's like Leicester City of the early 2000s or whatever. So, but I just thought Manchester United, Rob, were pretty strong defensively, and I thought for the first time, Rashford, particularly Anthony. Right, and this is where we've criticised him before. Actually, held back many times their fullbacks. Held back, and it was very much a 4-1-4-1. But those wide players in Rashford and Anthony really came back to help. And Arsenal, Rob, for yes, there was a couple of glaring chances. I made a note of them. The Arsenal chances in Kai Havertz where he fluffed it, he whiffed the ball and missed it. Bukayo Saka that he should side foot a corner. Other than those two, which are brilliant chances, I thought Manchester United defended well. And as ever, Rob, they're a huge threat on the counter-attack. Now, just as you sort of summarised the scoreline at 3-1, it could have been very different. Garnacho goes through, it's offside, he slots it in. You think, this is a smash and grab. Man United are going to win 2-1. It just led, Rob, to the drama of the day, the game, and you can't take your eyes off this fixture. There was a period in the game where I'm like, not much going on. Well done, United, strong, able to cope with this Arsenal front line, and then we get the craziness at the end where Arsenal find a way through Declan Rice, who composed, Rob, brings the ball down, maybe off his face at the back post, and volleys it. It's a little deflection, and I can't save it. So, I think Man United ultimately want to get to where Arsenal look in terms of the possession, the territory, the control through the football, but they were forced onto the back foot because Arsenal is so good at moving the ball.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And as you say, when we looked at shots on goal, there wasn't a huge difference. I think Arsenal were 15, United were 12 or something. There wasn't a huge distance in shots on target. So, I think sometimes we can get carried away with just possession and keeping the ball. And as I say, I thought West Ham were a brilliant example last week of playing a Brighton team that you can control possession out of the not having the ball if the opposition aren't hurting you, Rob. And I thought to a degree you were right. I thought that without Varane and Martinez and Lindelof as a centre-back pair, and I thought Dalot and Wan-Bissaka as two full-backs, I thought they did particularly well. Goalkeeper's really confident, so different ways of getting to where they want to be. As you say, Ten Hag's still got work to do, but it's about those moments, Rob, isn't it? And how big Declan Rice's moment was for Arsenal, because there's a bit of criticism that the rhythm's not been the same, and I did a little breakdown today, and we talked about getting that back four in place. I would have played Jesus ahead of Nketiah. Nketiah didn't do bad, but Jesus, I think, is going to start being ready and pushing. And all of a sudden, I think it feels like Arsenal's rhythm's going to come, and they can start to, put the performances along with the points.
Rob, just on Kai Havertz, right? Because I know he's a big story before it, and he became a big story in this game as well. Just going through some of the things that we should probably talk about. The chance that he missed in the 13th minute was a pretty bad one. It was his giveaway, correct, for the Manchester United goal. He made the bad pass in midfield. And then the penalty incident of the three. I guess it goes down as a dive, Rob. Now, we didn't get a chance to have a post-game show today with so much going on with big NBC, the network. We didn't. I thought Graham felt it shouldn't have been overturned. What do you think to that, Rob?
I thought it should. I thought it was a really big call back. I think once a referee goes over to the monitor, we're normally thinking he's giving the pen. But I actually thought he was spot on. I thought there was contact. If anything, was slightly instigated by Havertz, who's only trying to run, but it's contact. I think, he goes down. I didn't think it was a penalty kick. I didn't think it was a particular dive, and I thought the referee was brave. And for me, I thought he got it right in overturning that it was a clear and obvious error. It was an error that Wan-Bissaka didn't make that contact, and that Kai Havertz went down.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. I think, and I think Graham's point was, wow, it's not a, it's just how much is a clear and obvious error, isn't it? I mean, I think if we all re-refereed it, we're all saying the same thing. But of course, we don't want to get into every time there's an incident that we all re-referee it and figure out, it's just for clear and obvious errors. And I actually understand Graham's point. Like, was it that much of a howler of a decision? There was a little bit of contact. But I'm with you, Rob. I think it was enough for it to be a clear and obvious error. It did go to ground very quickly. And you watch the Man United two players that came in. They were really trying not to make a contact on the player. So that was interesting. But just quickly on him, Rob, to finish up on Kai Havertz. Any signs of progression there? Or is he just look like he's struggling to have any impact?
I said after the game to Bex that the only downside for me, if I'm Mikel Arteta, is all the good moments came when Kai Havertz was off the pitch, mate. He whiffs one in the first half. He gives the ball away that leads to United's first goal. Right, the penalty might have been a big moment that if he'd have won it, he didn't get it. The only good thing now is he got a 2-week break. They've got a bit of momentum. There's a bit of noise around Arsenal. It's almost like, can we take him out the firing line? I'd be very surprised in the next Arsenal game he's in the starting 11.
I think he will be.
Do you?
I think he's going to. Yeah,
he's got to try and nurse him through it.
I don't think he's going to. Yeah, I don't think by pushing him out of the team so soon. Who's he going to play in there? Fabio Vieira? I think he's going to give Kai Rob a little bit more time.
To you? Does he not look a little bit shot? So I like the confidence. I mean, the one he whiffs, Rob, isn't that it gets away from him. It basically is the ball's there, and he tries to hit it too early. I just, I just wonder where, there's doubt in his head. and I think it's almost affecting him.
Yeah, maybe, mate. But I think Havertz now is experienced enough. He's been around enough to know that, you know, he didn't have a great time at Chelsea. He's been in this situation before. I think he'll continue, and I think Mikel Arteta will be a little bit stubborn about it. Robbie might be a bit stubborn. You know what? I'm not giving up on him yet. You know, he just needs a goal. He almost got one. You know, went through. He created a penalty that was overturned. I mean, mate, I feel that. But we'll see.
Right.
Just another couple. Yeah, another couple of players, Rob. But maybe before we go on to Man United. Am I being a bit harsh / picky if I say that Saka and Martinelli have been a bit off, been a bit quiet, been a bit not quite as effective, as dangerous as they normally? I mean, I know Man United defended well for the most part, wide areas, particularly Wan-Bissaka's good, isn't he, against Martinelli?
Yeah.
Is would you expect a little bit more from him for those 4 games?
I know what you're saying, and I think the standards are so high that maybe they would say. Bissaka's not quite been a shot. He should have scored, Rob. There was a lovely move that ended up with the ball came to him, and he took it first time. Probably had time to take a touch, but didn't get good contact. Not quite on top of his game. A little bit collectively as the team were. I think that back four back in. I think Ben White behind him, Rob will help him. Him, Odegaard and Saka on that side. They've got a really good understanding. So I hear your point. I think we might be being a little bit picky, you know, on a young man who's got, you know, who's had some brilliant moments and going to have many more going forward.
You got a couple of goals already. So just again, Rob, just on Arsenal, it felt like, don't know, they found that's a big win for them. It's a big win. Feel good factor is back. They've been a bit shaky the first three games for the most part. Does it feel like Arsenal now can find their best form and get back to the level that they're at for the majority of last year?
I think so, mate, because I think they needed a moment. They needed something collective. They needed that Rice knee slide into the fans going crazy, the Jesus getting the beating of Man United. They needed this to kickstart them, to regain a bit of that belief again and that confidence of who they are and how they do things. And I think you're right. And I think the break's coming at the perfect time. Some players will go away. They'll come back and they'll be ready to go. They're away at Everton, I believe. It's a late kick-off on the Saturday, the 16th, when we get back. You'd expect him to go to Everton. Although, remember last season, Sean Dyche, was it? First win for Everton or something against Arsenal?
Yeah. Just on Man United, Rob, what... Rasmus Højlund, we've got to look at him later on, and I think we know what he's going to be like. He's going to be direct and skillful. He actually had a nice flick for their goal that was ruled back with for the offside. Give me some thoughts on Manchester United from today.
It's indicative of who and where Manchester United are, that Anthony Martial is still wearing the number 9 shirt, and with still a reliance on him. Like, Anthony, is there any chance you might be able to get us a goal today? We've had 8 years. I asked our research guys. It's 8 years, Rob, since he came in the football club, scoring goals early on. I think it was Louis van Gaal was in charge, and we were thinking, well, we got a star here, and it's never quite happened for him. And Højlund looks a player. We've seen a little bit of tape. He's got physicality. He's left-footed. Obviously, he's had a little bit of an injury, but he looked nice and sharp when he come on. Things happened around him. So I just felt as though, like, if they can get him right, Anthony, I thought, put more into the game than I've seen him. Rashford got his goal that was important. And then, the balance in midfield, Eriksen is important to the football club. So I think these brighter days ahead for United, but it's going to be kind of slow progress. And they've got to find the balance. They've got to get the right chemistry between the team. Mason Mount, where does he fit then once he gets fit again? Is it instead of Eriksen?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the defensive side of it now with the injuries. I'm not sure what Lindelof's injury was today, and Martinez is the best defender at the club. Again, I don't know the full details of the injuries, but you got Maguire and Johnny Evans in the crucial moments of a game away at Arsenal. It's just not ideal. It's just not ideal, and that's when those late goals came. Apart from the attacking situation, it might be that Rasmus Højlund, and I don't. It shouldn't be on him to spark their season, but it might be about him, Rob. I mean, Marcus Rashford got his goal today, and of course he needs to be a regular scorer, else you just can't see that many goals coming from the front line. So it will be about Højlund and how good he is, and how quickly he can settle, and how confident he can be, and how the crowd can get behind him, and Erik ten Hag can find his best stuff early on, because that might be, determines how their season goes. But right now, I mean, we're going to go and talk about some other clubs that are struggling a little bit. Man United still. They look short in a few areas. To be fair, defensive injuries are not helping. But I thought in terms of their first games, Rob, that may be the most solid they've looked. I know they lost 3-1 with the late goals there, but at least I thought there was a bit of structure and a bit of shape compared to some of the other ones where they've looked. The performances were a lot worse.
Yeah, it was interesting today, and I thought Casemiro picked up a couple of interesting spots. At times he dropped in between the two centre-backs. Looked to be better, looked back to his game a little bit more. So, still more improvement needed, but United, I think we've all said, Rob, still a work in progress very much, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe a good break for them to get a little bit of rest, and the players will go off on international duty and come back.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock. And be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you there.